What's going on, guys? It's Nico here. I decided to make this video to talk a little bit about the strategy that I use and the setups that I look for when I trade. So we're just going to go over every single setup that you see here, and then I'm going to try to show you some examples so that you can see it live. And if we have time, I'm also going to talk a little bit about what I look for specifically when I show up to trade for my New York session. Alright, so that being said, let's just go straight into it. Alright, so before I go into describing this first setup here, you guys are probably wondering where are those boxes and stuff. This box represents the Asian session. For those that have a basic understanding of knowledge of the Forex market, they know that there are three major sessions: Asia, London, and New York. Right, so these boxes for me represent the Asian session, which usually you'll see consolidation or accumulation during this Asian session, meaning not much will be happening. Okay, then when London comes along, the first move they usually see during London, usually it's a stop hunt. Okay, so in this case, for the M type 1 setup is when price breaks to the highs of Asia, anywhere from 25 to 50 pips, sometimes it's even more. They do an M, and then they proceed to give three pushes to the downside. Okay. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this M is never quite perfect, okay? Sometimes you'll see an M being done during the London session, and then they will begin a push, and then when New York comes along, they'll just come for a little stop hunt into that first push, and then proceed to give two more pushes to the downside. Sometimes you'll see the first leg being done during London, and then you'll see a second leg being done in New York. Okay, sometimes the second leg M will go past the first one, sometimes it will not. Okay, our trades come on the second leg of the M or the W. Okay, so let me just show you an example of an M type 1 setup. Okay, alright, so here you have a break to the upside. This is the Asian session. This box represents my timing for the London session, which I did not trade. And this is my New York session. Boom. First leg, they came down. New York comes along. Second leg, this time they go past it. The reason they go past it is because they want more people to go long. Okay? It means that this move did not really accomplish what they wanted. It did not get enough people going long, so they have to go make a higher high, because you know that once price breaks this previous high, it's textbook. There's buy stops here, there's people catching longs. And then what happens? 1, 2, 3. Done. Going to tomorrow. Okay, so this is an M type 1 here. Okay, let's move along. Okay, then we have the M type 2 setup. The M type 2 happens when the M is done at the highs of Asia. Okay, and just like the M type 1, there's variations of it. Sometimes the M will happen during London, and then when New York comes along, they'll just come a little up for a little stop hunt and then continue dropping. But just like the type 1, once the M is valid, you're looking for 3 pushes to the downside. Okay, so the only difference is that the M now is done at the highs of Asia. So let's just look at the example real quick. There you have it. Okay, Asian session, first leg came back down, give a little bounce off the lows of Asia, which is perceived as support. So once this move started going up here, it even break the previous high. What do you think are all the orders? Look at these equal lows here. Look at these equal lows. People that caught a bounce off here and started going up, okay, and then they also broke the previous high here, and then they give a railroad track at 8 o'clock just as New York opened. 1, 2, 3, finished, done. Okay, this was an M type 2. Okay, let's just move along. I'll show you the type 3. Okay, now the M type 3 setup it happens in the middle of the Asian range. Okay, that's the only difference. But then you're still looking for 3 pushes to the downside. Okay, the reason why you'll see it being done in the middle is because they usually have some kind of people being trapped on the other half and they don't want to release them. But just like the previous 2Ms, it's never quite perfect. Sometimes it will be done during London. Sometimes you'll see a leg in London. Sometimes you'll see a leg in New York. Sometimes this leg could be lower. This one could be higher. Could go past the middle of the range, come back down. Okay, it's never quite perfect. Because if it was that easy, everybody will catch into it and will start doing it. Okay, so let's go into an example. All right, there you have it. This orange line is the middle of the range. Okay. First leg, second leg, 1, 2, 3. You're out. When you see that third push, you're out. Sometimes when you show up for New York, you might miss that first push, but usually you can show up and catch at least 1 or 2 pushes, okay, if they have already a setup. All right, so that's an M type 3, middle of the range. Okay, if you guys are wondering what this indicator is this one. FXN Asian Session Range by Rob Minty. Okay, you use this indicator. I can show you my settings. I'll show you my settings here. These are my settings. This is the Asian session. For me, goes from 8 o'clock at night to 2 a.m. Keep in mind that these are I live on the East Coast, so this is EST time. Okay, my London session goes from 3:30 to 6 a.m. I don't even trade a session, and my New York session goes from 8 to 11:30. Okay, so if you guys want this indicator, I showed you where you can find it. All right, so now let's move on to the W, to the bullish patterns. All right, so the W's, they're bullish setups, of course. And just like the M's, they have variations. It's never quite perfect, okay? But you're always looking for 3 pushes when you see it, okay? The W type 1 is when price breaks the low of Asia by 25 to 50 pips. They produce a W, and then you're looking for 3 pushes to the upside. Sometimes the W is done in London. Sometimes the first leg in London, second leg in New York. Okay, just like the M's. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's just look at an example of the W type 1. All right, there you have it. Asian session. They do a little stop onto the highs. And then they come back down. They give us a leg. Pull back. A second leg W. Come up. 1 push. 2 pushes. 3 pushes. You're done. Okay? That's why I don't like to trade the London session, because usually I used to trade the London session, but because I always had, when I first started, I'm like, oh, I want to be there. I had this fear that I was going to miss out on something. But when I show up for New York, it's already more clear to me what already happened and what might happen. Okay, when I show up to trade the London session, I'm really not sure like what they're going to do. So it sucks for me to wake up at 3 a.m. and then just sit there for 2 hours waiting for a setup to develop, So that's why I decided to only show up for my New York session. Okay, so here's a W type 1 setup. We break the low of Asia, first leg, second leg a little bit deeper because we needed to we need to trigger more people to go short, because once this low got broken, sell stops, and then boom, aggressively up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this was a W type 1. Let's look at a W type 2. The W type 2 is usually done at the lows of Asia. Okay, and then you're looking for 3 pushes to the upside. Okay, I'm not going to talk again about the variations. You already heard me say that probably 3-4 times already. Okay, let's just look at an example. Here, I found a good example, okay, of what I was talking about earlier. This is one of the variations, okay? Remember I told you sometimes the W or DM is done during the London session. Then when New York comes along, you'll see a little stop hunt and then a continuation in that direction. Here's a perfect example. London session, W type 2 setup with one push. Okay. So now when I showed up for New York, right, when I showed up around this time and I saw this, I already knew that I was only going to look for continuation of the upside. And then here you have a star. Could have entered right there. Okay, New York comes along. Sometimes you see them do a W or an M during the London session, and then when New York comes along, they'll just come for like that third leg. Okay, it's rare, but you'll see it sometimes. And then boom, here's your trade. One, two, three. Okay, done. All right, let's just look at the last one, the W type 3. All right, guys, so the W type 3, as you can guess, it happens in the middle of the range. Okay, same like the M. The M happens here in the middle of the range. The W happens on top. And we're looking for 3 pushes. All right, so let's just look at a quick example. There you have it. This was news-based, okay? But look at it. Okay? New York came along. They came down for a stop hunting to all this creep move here. Boom. See that? Middle of the range. And like I said, it's never quite perfect. Sometimes they might break below and come right back up. Okay, but you see how overall they try to stay on top. All right. So that was a W type 3. All right, so now that we covered all setups that I look for and how I trade, I don't think there's enough time for me to really talk about what I specifically look for when I show up for my New York session, but I guess that can be another video. Okay, I don't want to make this video too long so keep you guys bored. I hope you enjoyed and you got some value from it. If you did, please comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what other things you would like me to talk about. All right, cheers, guys.